Wetlands are amongst the rarest habitats of the Maltese Islands. Suffice to say that they cover less than 0.5% of the whole territory. Wetlands are home to a large variety of unique flora and fauna species, with some of these species totally dependent on this fragile habitat. Malta's largest wetlands are synonymous with BirdLife Malta, since the latter was responsible for the restoration of both the Salina Nature Reserve and later the Salina Nature Reserve. The reserves, protected by both national and international legislation, are Natura 2000 sites. They are home to large populations of the Mediterranean killifish, the national fish of Malta, which in turn supports iconic bird species like the common kingfisher, the common little bittern, and the black-winged stilt, the latter also recorded breeding in both wetlands. Given the results obtained by BirdLife Malta there for all to see, it came as no surprise when, in 2018, the NGO was handed the management of yet another Natura 2000 site, this time in the form of the Salina area, including the salt band, an area of degraded and derelict marshland, and an area of rich garrigue. Amongst the most pressing jobs was undoubtedly the restoration of the wetland area. Years ago, large quantities of debris were dumped into the area, creating large mounds of earth, which meant the area no longer supported a body of water, save a small pond. Additionally, several species of endangered flora and fauna were obliterated, and several tamarisk trees, typical of such habitat, also destroyed. Alien invasive species like the acacia trees took over most of the site, and vandalism was the order of the day. Prior to coming up with the restoration plans, BirdLife Malta embarked on several studies to gather important information required for the finalization of the same plans. A hydrologist was contracted to study the water flows in the area and any interaction with the adjacent seawater channel, which is known as the subcurso. At the same time, accurate flora mapping of the area was conducted on a seasonal basis, so that mitigation measures would be undertaken during the ensuing works, thus conserving the few remaining important flora in the area. With all this information now in hand came the exciting part, when, accompanied by an architect, plans for the restoration of the water body started. Countless meetings and on-site visits gave birth to the final plans, which would see an approximate water body of around 2,000 square meters take shape. These plans were submitted to the local planning authority, and after positive reviews, the all-clear for the works to start was granted in June 2022. The next hurdle represented funding the whole project. An application for funding was successfully submitted to the Donors Initiative for Mediterranean Freshwater Ecosystems, or DIMFE. Created in 2021 by Prince Albert II of Monaco Foundation, the MAVA Foundation, and the Aj V. Jensen Charity Foundation, DIMFE is an initiative dedicated to conserving and restoring freshwater ecosystems in the Mediterranean, including rivers, lakes, marshes, and peat bogs. The foundation covered most of the projected expenses, budgeted in the region of €300,000. Once the necessary planning and environmental permits were issued and work contractors secured, the work started in earnest. The first tasks involved fencing the area in question. Whilst not aesthetically pleasing, the fence is crucial for a variety of reasons, but namely to ensure that in this small area, nature is left as unhindered as possible, away from the pressures created by continued human presence. With the fencing set up and the site secured, next in was the heavy machinery needed to displace the material and create a niche of canals and shallow water pools so characteristic of wetland habitats. The material was piled up into imposing soil embankments, which once planted will serve a dual purpose, offering food and shelter to species of fauna and acting as a barrier isolating noise and light pollution. It took a whole 5 months of work, but finally, the heavy machines moved out of the site and nature could start its regeneration process. In parallel to this, work started on the existing tamarisk trees, some of which were diligently pruned to ensure they suffer no damage during works. What followed was an intense tree planting program. In all, around 700 tree and shrub species were planted. The majority were tamarisk trees and chaste trees, both at ease growing in brackish conditions. On the outer reaches of the embankments, a hedgerow was planted using indigenous trees, amongst which Mediterranean buckthorn, lentisk, and Judas trees. For the first years, these trees will be supported with a drip irrigation system purposely set up. Thankfully, the rains persisted well into spring 2023, and thus undoubtedly helped wash the scars away and ensure nature started its regeneration process. And it did so in no time at all. The rare Rupia species quickly spread in the water, as the first large shoals of Mediterranean killifish fry were sighted. Several waiter species, amongst which common, curlew, and wood sandpiper, dunlin, little stint, and little ringed plover, together with common kingfisher and also duck species like the northern shoveler, were all spotted in the shallow wetland waters. The reed bed, now protected from indiscriminate trampling, flourished. A small canal with mostly freshwater conditions attracted dragonflies. The calls and songs of the common reed warblers soon boomed out of the reed bed. Our work did not stop there. 2 small birdwatching hides were set up on site, with these playing an important part in ensuring the public can enjoy the restored wetland without causing any disturbance to the ecosystem on site. Proud of the work we carried out, we have to once more thank DIMFE for the faith shown in this project, and we will now take the back seat as we await nature to complete the restoration process.